Alright guys, welcome to another video. I'm hoping that everyone's well. I'm going to do a video here. I'm taking another one down. I did one a few days ago, but it's not getting any more views, and I think it's because I went into a subject matter toward the end of the video where people stop watching, and then once you do that, YouTube the algorithm kind of changes and they don't recommend it anymore, so the views just stopped suddenly on it. But this one here I'm going to make it quick, I promise you that. I'm talking about my Fender Player 2 Stratocaster. This is a made in Mexico Player 2. I bought it from Sweetwater, and I want to just talk for a minute about made in Mexico players, or made in Mexico guitars, period. The factory in Ensenada, which is on the Baja Peninsula in Mexico, is about 175 miles south of the American Fender factory in Corona. And I watched a couple of videos that featured this factory, and let me tell you something, I was impressed. The technology that's in that factory, the people that they interviewed that were talking, these are dedicated people that are professionally focused on making high quality instruments. And I tell you what, I have no complaints about this guitar. I have an American made telly, made in Corona, and this Stratocaster, without reservation, I could say the fit and finish, the quality is just as good. Just maybe even better. I had a couple little issues with the American made that I had to fix myself. But let me tell you about the 4 modifications that I felt like I had to do on this Stratocaster. Remember, it's a Player 2. It's nowhere near the top of the line Fender, but I tell you what, it's a good guitar. The first one I did was I put locking tuners on it. The tuners that came with it, the classic tuners, they tuned well enough. They just didn't stay in tune for me. And I'm not a heavy tremolo arm user, but whenever I did use the tremolo, I found myself frequently having to retune the guitar. The locking tuners from Fender are drop-in. There's no drilling or anything required to do. You take the classic ones off, you put these in. It's that simple. About 85 bucks. And that did solve a lot of the tuning problems. The second problem I had was the tremolo arm, which I was kind of unpleasantly surprised that the tremolo arm on a brand new Stratocaster was wobbly. It seemed like right here, like the arm wasn't quite fitted very well into the threaded receptacle in there, and then it had wobble in it. It just felt like it was going to break or fall off. So I went online, and there was a couple of solutions for that. People recommended wrapping the screw end of the arm in plumber's tape. Thought about that, and then I found something else online where the guy had bought these little tiny springs from Fender. They're tremolo arm springs. I guess they come in some of the higher quality Stratocasters. And you drop a little 4mm BB that you buy on Amazon, a 4mm ball bearing. It's made out of steel. You drop that down into the hole, and then you put one of those springs down in there, and you screw the arm. Wobble's gone. The arm doesn't flop around anymore. Wherever you put it, it stays, and it's great. Okay. The third modification I did, which you can't see because I don't want to take the back off again, but I bought these springs, these tremolo springs from Fender. I bought the black ones. From what I heard, the black ones had a little bit less tension on them than the silver ones that came on the Strat. Now, it came on the Strat with I believe it came with 5 springs on there. And initially I took 2 of them off and just went down to 3. But then when I changed to the black springs, I put 4 of the black springs on back there, and the tremolo arm was working much better for me. I didn't have it to the height that Fender recommends. I think it's like 1/8 of an inch. Mine's just a little lower. It's not quite decked. It's not quite touching the body of the guitar, but it is lower, which basically puts more tension on the springs, which I have 10 gauge on there, not 9. It puts a little more tension on the springs, and it definitely contributes to better tuning stability. So that's what I did, and I like it like that. I can still use the tremolo arm. I can still use it. It's just that it doesn't quite kick it out of tune every time I play. And then the last little very last modification I did, which I think is the one that really so far has meant the most to me. I like to palm mute. And if you notice these little grub screws along the saddles, when they came from the factory, the screws that were on there protruded. They stuck up, you know, a little bit, a couple of millimeters in each screw. And when you're palm muting, which I like to do, whether I'm playing a Tele or a Strat, I like to rest my palm right there sometimes and play. Not that it would cut you, but you would feel these little screws sticking up. So I went to this company, and I'm going to show you the envelope so you can commute it here. It's called Monster Bolts. Okay, I'm covering my name and address on there. Monster Bolts from Milton, Florida. Look them up on Google. And they make specifically, they make these little screws, these grub screws, that are meant to deal with that issue. They're shorter. You put those in, and the way you put them in is you take one screw at a time out, and then you put one of the new Monster Bolt screws in. So this way you don't have to readjust your saddle height too badly. You'll have to fine tune it a little at the end, but that's it. You'll pretty much keep your same action height. Of course, loosen the strings when you do that. The screws on the bottom are flat, so they're not going to mar up your bridge plate. And that's what I did. And I'll tell you what, I like it. I've got no more protruding screws. So yeah, this Fender Stratocaster, Player 2, great guitar, highly recommend it. Made in Mexico, don't be afraid of it. Its quality is just as good as a USA-made Stratocaster. All right, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Leave your comments if you'd like.